Remember the Zohran Mamdani effect?
They are calling it the Mamdani effect.
We've already heard that 1 million New Yorkers were going to.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You give us the sources, and we try to make sense of it all for you. Today we are looking at one single decision that I think just perfectly captures the tension at the heart of New York City right now. We're talking about Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's move into Gracie Mansion, and it sets up this incredible collision between, a symbol of 18th century wealth and a housing crisis that is just desperate.
It really is a textbook case of political symbols
crashing right into reality. I mean, think about it. Mamdani gets elected as a democratic socialist. His entire platform, his whole identity is built on a housing justice ticket. And now he's leaving his modest
rent-controlled place in Astoria, Queens, to move into a, $100 million mansion on the East River. It's a paradox. So yeah, let's unpack this.
Okay, that's our mission. We need to start with the facts of the crisis itself. Then we'll get into the history of Gracie Mansion, what it is, what it represents, and then we can really dig into the politics of Mamdani choosing to govern from inside the house. So let's start there with the mandate that got him elected.
He won because housing in New York isn't just an issue, it's an existential crisis. It's everything. His campaign was just laser focused on things like a rent freeze for the city's roughly 1 million rent stabilized apartments.
And those are the apartments where landlords can only raise the rent by a certain amount each year, right?
Exactly. He also pushed for expanding public housing, stronger protections for tenants, basically reining in all that speculative real estate money.
And that platform didn't just come out of nowhere. It was born from the
brutal math of trying to live in this city.
Yeah.
When you see the numbers, you get it. You really get why his message hit so hard.
The numbers are staggering. We're looking at the city's housing and vacancy
survey, which the Rent Guidelines Board used for its 2025 report, and it found the rental vacancy rate is just 1.41%.
1.41%. We should just pause on that number. I mean, in most cities, anything under 5% is considered a crisis. But in New York, that 5% number it's actually the legal threshold, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's the trigger. New York State law says the city needs to be below that 5% threshold to even have its broad rent regulation powers.
So we're way, way below it.
We are so far below it. It's not just a tight market, it's what you'd call a systemic market failure.
And what does 1.41% actually feel like? What does it translate to in, human terms?
It means across almost 2.4 million rental units in the entire city, there are only about 33,000
vacant apartments available, period.
Wow.
When you have that little supply, the market just breaks. And prices, well, they go into the stratosphere.
And this is the part that gets me. The rent burden.
The median asking rent citywide is around $3,600 a month, a number that already feels unreal. Then you put it next to what people actually earn.
It creates an impossible math problem. Just look at Manhattan. The average one-bedroom apartment there costs about $4,200 a month.
Okay.
But the average monthly income in Manhattan is only about $5,100.
Wait, you're telling me the average person is spending over 80% of their income on a one-bedroom? How is that? How do you buy food, a Metro card, anything?
You don't, or you live with roommates, you work multiple jobs, or you're forced to leave the city. And even if you look at Brooklyn, the average income is around $3,400. The rent for a one-bedroom is still $2,800. It's intense.
It's astronomical. What if you needed a two-bedroom? For a family.
In Manhattan, you're routinely looking at $5,000,
even $5,500. It's a picture of extreme scarcity, and it's why Mamdani's message resonated so much. But now we have this huge pivot.
Okay, so we've got the reality of that
$4,200 rent check burned in our minds.
Yeah.
Now let's turn to the building that symbolizes, the exact opposite of that struggle, Gracie Mansion. This is where it gets really interesting.
Right. To get the weight of this decision, you have to understand the house itself. It's been the official home of the mayor since 1942. It's a beautiful, federal-style wooden house, painted that famous yellow, built back in 1799 as a country villa. You have to imagine back then, this was way outside the city. It was an escape.
Built by Archibald Gracie, the shipping merchant.
That's him. And here's a little piece of historical irony for you. Archibald Gracie. He actually lost the property because he ran into financial trouble.
No way.
Yep.
The man whose name is on this symbol of enduring wealth couldn't actually pay his bills.
The city got it in 1896.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it became part of Carl Schurz's park.
And for a while, before it was the mayor's house, it was actually for the public. I think the Museum of the City of New York was there for it.
It was. It has this civic history, which is important. It only became the mayor's residence because of Robert Moses, the legendary and very controversial city planner. In 1942, he was was the one who pushed Mayor LaGuardia to move in. He wanted a dignified civic residence for New York.
So it was designed to project power right from the start. But the building today isn't just that original house, is it? It's much bigger.
Oh, much, much bigger. The whole complex is something like 12 or 13,000 square feet. You have the original house with 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, all the period details. But then you have the Susan E. Wagner Wing, which was added in 1966.
The Wagner Wing? What's that?
It's a modernist extension. It was designed specifically for big official events, receptions, high-level meetings.
It basically cements the idea that this isn't just a home, it's an operational hub.
And then Mayor Bloomberg did some updates in 2002 and made it more accessible to the public, and that's when it got that nickname.
The People's House.
Yes, a name that feels a little different when the people are outside protesting.
Exactly.
So what's the precedent here? Is moving in just what mayors do?
Most of them, yeah. LaGuardia, Koch, Dinkins, de Blasio, Adams, they all live there. But it's a choice. The big exception, of course, was Michael Bloomberg. For 3 terms, he stayed in his own townhouse and just used Gracie for events.
And others, like Koch, kind of split their time. So choosing to move in fully carries a lot of symbolic weight, especially for a guy whose whole promise is to fight that power structure.
Absolutely. The mansion isn't just a building, it's become a political stage. And the protests there in recent years have almost all been about housing, about homelessness, about migrants. The physical location is it's completely tied up in the struggles of the city's most vulnerable people.
Yeah, we've seen huge clashes right on the doorstep.
I remember in August 2023, there was that anti-immigration rally that got really heated.
And even more directly, there was that sleep-in protest in November 2023. Protesters
were urging Mayor Adams to stop attacking the city's right to shelter law.
And for anyone listening, the right to shelter is the law that basically says the city has to provide a bed for anyone who's homeless.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
And Adams later did reach a deal in March 2024 that put limits on how long migrants could stay in shelters. It fundamentally changed that right.
So Mamdani is literally moving into the epicenter of the debate over his signature issue. Let's talk about the paradox head on. He's moving in with his wife, Rama Duwaji, and leaving behind that rent-stabilized apartment he's had since 2018.
When he announced it, he gave a clear rationale. He framed it entirely as a decision about effectiveness. He cited 2 main things. First, safety for his family, and second, the need to focus completely on his affordability agenda without distractions.
So he's saying he's using the house as a tool, the way Robert Moses maybe intended it, as a civic resource to get the job done. But I mean, you have to admit the optics are just rough.
Oh, they're terrible. It opens him up
to so much criticism. He spent his whole career tying his political identity to being a renter, to being one of the people struggling. The contrast going from that to a 13,000 square foot mansion, it's a gift-wrapped present for his opponents.
But is there an argument to be made that it's actually a smart political move, beyond the bad optics?
There's an argument for it, yes. If he's serious, he could use the mansion as a stage. Imagine he hosts housing summits there, constantly drawing the media's attention to the crisis, right from inside this symbol of wealth. He could treat it less like a home and more like a command center. It forces everyone to see the contrast between the fancy house and the desperate city outside.
That raises the stakes incredibly high, though. If he moves in and nothing changes, the mansion just becomes a symbol of his failure. And it makes you think.
This crisis in New York isn't a natural disaster. It's a policy failure. Which brings us to our aha moment when you look outside the U.S.
Exactly. New York's crisis is almost
entirely driven by the private market. But then you look at a city like Vienna in Austria, and it is a completely different world.
What does Vienna do differently?
It's a fundamentally different model. The city of Vienna itself owns and manages hundreds of thousands of apartments. It's called social housing. They're not trying to make a huge profit, so rents stay low and predictable.
The city is the biggest landlord, so it controls the market.
That's it, precisely. Something like 60% of the population lives in housing that is either owned by the city or heavily subsidized, so most people are totally protected from the kind of speculation we see in New York.
Give us the rent comparison again, the gut punch.
Okay. 1 bedroom in Manhattan, $4,200. A typical 2-bedroom apartment in Vienna. You can rent it for less than 600 euros a month. That's about $700.
It's almost 6 times cheaper. It just shows that the 1.41% vacancy rate isn't inevitable. It's a choice.
A choice made by a system that has always prioritized private profit over public good.
And that is the system that Mayor Mamdani has been hired to fix. He's armed with this
Powerful mandate for affordability, but he's chosen to fight that war from inside the old guard's headquarters.
So to recap our deep dive, we have the complicated history of Gracie Mansion, the people's house that hosts both galas and protests. And we have Mayor Mamdani facing this impossible 1.41% vacancy rate, trying to solve it from a 13,000 square foot symbol of the very elite he ran against.
Which leaves a really big question for you to think about. We know the move looks bad on the surface, but if he really does use the mansion as an operational hub, a tool to fix the crisis, does that change what the building symbolizes? Does it become a symbol of a mobilized government? Or does the weight of that housing crisis just make any symbolism totally irrelevant until people can actually find a place to live?
And think about that Vienna comparison. What signal does the government send when it focuses on
using its existing assets, like a mansion, to govern more effectively, versus a government that commits to building massive new public assets, like housing, on a scale that can actually change the market?
That's the challenge for Mamdani and for the entire city.
an enormous thought to leave you with?